is it?
دوست دارم میدونی که این کار دل گناه من نیست تقصیر دل دوست دارم میدونی که این کار دل گناه من نیست تقصیر دل قربانت برم من نوشین جانم So good to see you looking beautiful same as usual So good to see you. So good to see you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. How you been? How have you been, please?
Trying hard to be all right.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I was coming. I couldn't believe it. Suddenly, I started singing the song that anytime me and Azizpour we were seeing each other, we were singing for each other. دوست دارم میدونی که این کار دل گناه من نیست تقصیر دل واقعا چقدر یادش میکنم و چقدر عاشق محبت های این مرد واقعا هیچ موقع ندیدم کسی رو که اینقدر محبت عشق معرفت به دوستان آشنایان فامیل بچه و همه واقعا نشون بده و واقعا یه لگسی برای خودش به جا گذاشت مجیدی عزیزم که we're gonna miss him for sure we're gonna miss him
زندگی عزیز از همون روزای اول بچگیش با همه کس فرق داشت که عزیز وقتی یه بیبی بود توی قنداق داشت مادرش مشغول جمع و جور بود چون قرار بود پدرش بیاد اون موقع کرمانشاه بودن قرار بود پدرش بیاد و با هم برن تهران مادرش بیبی رو میده به نوکر خونش میگه ببرش بیرون هوا بخوره تا من چمدونا رو ببندم وقتی نوکره میاد بیرون میبینه یه عده نوکرای همسایه دارن والیبال بازی میکنن و تا اینو میبینن التماسش میکنن که ما یه نفر کم داریم تا هم بیا با ما بازی کن اینم بچه رو میذاره کنار رودخونه میاد با اینا بازی میکنه همینجور که بچه کنار رودخونه بوده موجای خروشان رودخونه بچه رو میگیره و میبره پایین بعد تا مسافت زیادی این بچه میره رو آب تا میرسه به یه جایی که ده پهلویی بوده و خانمای دهاتی داشتن رقص میشستن وقتی میبینن یه باندلی داره میاد با تعجب میرن میگیرن میبینن یه بچه است و خوب فکر میکنن خب این از اون بالا اومده بغلش میکنن به دو میرن به طرف بالا که تحویل صاحبش بدن از اون طرف هم نوکره که میفهمه میخواد خودشو بکشه بقیه نوکره نمیذارن این کارو بکنه و میگن بریم پایین شاید پیداش کنیم وقتی میان پایین میبینن اینا آوردن بچه رو بهشون تحویل دادن و میبرن خونه به مادرش تحویل میدن یعنی عزیز مثل حضرت موسی رو آب حفظ میشه
He would not have known his father, as his father died when he was merely an infant. Aziz was born in the 1930s at roughly the same time as me. We were both Pisces, so we probably got on very well. Aziz comes from a family that in Baha'i history goes back a long, long way. When Baha'u'llah was in the Sirshal, the Black Pit, One of his grandparents organized with other women to feed Baha'u'llah, but it meant feeding all the guards of the prison and all the other prisoners. It was an immense task, and Baha'u'llah bestowed a name on her, the mother of all mothers. It was a wonderful title to have. Later on, I believe another grandmother, and I don't know how far back this goes, actually had the Bab's remains in her home and looked after them for some time. I think it's without doubt that with such a lineage that Aziz would be the person who he is, caring, loving, so attentive to others' needs.
Dad was brought up alone by his mum, very protective, strong lady. And in Iran in those days, the status of women was probably even till today's not how we would expect in the West. So she did a remarkable job of looking after and raising Dad by herself. Having said that, she also had a very strong family around as well. In fact, they all lived in a house, a 3-story from memory house in Ab Farman in Tehran. And there was my grandmother, which we refer to as Amajan, her sisters, there was Mahmunir, Mahmanzar, her brothers. They were Dad's uncles, but in fact, really, they substituted as Dad's fathers.
Azizpour was more than a cousin for me. He was more like an older brother. I grew up in Tehran, living in the same house as him with my aunts Mahmanzar and Mahtalat up to the age of 10. I loved spending time with him. He would play word games and have lots of conversations. We would pretend to have interviews on the radio together with each other, giving funny questions and very funny answers. It was great fun. He had such a great sense of humor. He was also a wonderful photographer. In those days, photography wasn't easy as it is today. You needed a lot of equipment and technical knowledge, but he was on top of it all. I'm going to show you a few pictures that I chose from a stack of old pictures. This is Azizpour as a young man, best looking cousin in the world, and better looking than any movie star. These are pictures that Azizpour took of me when we were playing in the house in Tehran. We were pretending to interview each other, and I'm wearing glasses that we found, old glasses we found in the house. Azizpour and myself in the new house in Shemran. Then he got married to Nushin Jun, a great event. I shall always miss Azizpour and remember him lovingly for as long as I live.
I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, and finished my studies, and I was going to go to Africa when my parents wrote and said, please come and visit us before going anywhere else. I went to say goodbye to Mr. Robertson, and when we were sitting and talking, there was a knock on the door, and he came and said, Nushin, come, I want you to meet with this Sadhuji. I went over to the door, and there was this Indian guy standing behind the door, and he looked at me. He started talking to me, telling me all about my past, as if he lived with me all my life. He said, you soon, maybe within a week or so, you'll go back to your own country. You will meet with a handsome guy. He has this on his face as well that you have got. He's nearly 7 years older than you. And he also said that he is an agriculturalist. I went back to Tehran. My poor mother had to answer the phones all the time, and people who wanted to come and visit me. And one day the door opened and a gentleman walked in. My God, he was so handsome, that I just couldn't take my eyes off him. Very well clad, and he was just back from America. He came, just nodded to me, and went and sat between my parents and started talking to them, ignoring me all the time. The fact that he was not looking at me gave me a chance to look at him from top to toe and make sure that it was him, because my heart was killing me, beating so fast, so loud. When I looked at him, I saw all that the fortune teller said. Between the time that we met and got engaged and married, it only lasted for 2.5 months. We had 3 sons from this marriage, Shidan, Ramin, and Human, and also 4 grandchildren, Rebecca and Sohrab or Scott, and twins, Isa and Nizam.
You may call it a fluke, or you may want to call it serendipity, how we came to Australia. But we're pretty sure as a family it was probably because of spite. And why that is when we were living in England, Dad was by this point, towards the early 80s, getting very sick of the weather. He was an agricultural man, and England just wasn't cutting it for him. So we decided to throw our net further afield. We applied to Australia, we applied to Canada, Puerto Rico, all in the hope of starting a new life in a much warmer climate. And the first country that responded, the first consulate that responded was the Australian consulate, giving us an appointment. So we showed up on the appointed day, and we were quite excited by this point. We'd been exposed to very little of Australia, just a few TV shows. Still, they looked warm, they looked inviting. So we came in the hopes of such a place. And when we arrived at the consulate, we sat in the waiting room, and the audiovisual entertainment was a loop of industrial areas of Wollongong, Newcastle, and iron ore facilities. Nothing of the paradise that we'd kind of expected. So at this point, we were summoned into the room with the consulate, whose name was Mr. Clive Gent. I don't know why I remember that, I just do. So we sat down, and Mr. Gent proceeded to ask us individually why we wanted to go to Australia. Both my brothers Shidan and Ramin and I, and then my mother, we set out some clear explanations as to why we didn't want to go. And the only reason why we wanted to go was because Dad wanted to go. And the consulate, Mr. Gent, looked confused, stupefied, and asked us, then I don't understand what you're doing here. Cut to the car ride home, and Dad was furious. He probably used some mild expletives. And a few months later, a letter came from the Australian embassy congratulating us on our acceptance to Australia. So here we are, and that is both serendipity, fluke, and spite all in one.
تا یاد دارم عزیز از جوونیش بسیار بسیار نیرومند بود و قوی و خیلی مثلا کارهایی که میکرد، از نردبون‌های بلند میرفت بالا و رو شیروانی اگه شاخه های اضافه اومده بود میبرید یا گاترها رو تمیز میکرد. دائم حتی در سن 95 سالگی خیلی هم اهل شعر و شاعری بود و نقاشی و به قدری با استعداد بود. هر کس تولدش بود براش یه شعری حتما میگفت که خیلی هم بامزه بود. به خصوص برای فائز گلستانی پیش از اینکه از این دنیا بره تولد 80 سالگیش و شعر خیلی قشنگی گفته بود و خودش هم براش خوند که خوشبختانه فیلمش هست هنوز.
آزفادی، تو امروز 80 شاخه گل زیبا شدی و خود گلستانی. متولد 9 آذر ماه در شهر تهرانی. همسری بودی وفادار برای بابا جی جی متولد کرمانشاهان. حال اوست در خلوتگاه عالم بالا، محرم اسرار و مستغرق بحر انوار حضرت یزدان. مادر شوهری هستی پر از عشق و محبت برای عروسان. خانواده‌ات محبوب، موفق، هنرمند و با ایمان. شهامت، بزرگی و سخاوتت بود کم نظیر. بهره بران را کند خجل و سرهایشان را آورد به زیر. هنر ز پنجه هایت ز هر طرف بود ریزان. در آشپزی و خیاطی و هم خشتک و تنبان. عین ویدا هم همینجوریه.
در این هم یه شعر گفتم.
شبانه روز در انجام خواسته های دوستان، خصوصا برای نسرین متولد بالای آذربایجان. تأثیرگذار بود نام این قریه به روی رفتارش و هنوز مانده. انتظار دارد از همگان که به او بگویند سلام فرمانده. اگه اینجا بود منو کشته بود. زیر پا گذاری هر فروشگاه و مغازه و دکان، تا راضی کنی دوستان بی انصاف را تا حد امکان. غروب به منزل رسی خسته و کوفته و نالان، به هر سو تلو خوری چون مستان. رکورد زدی در فروش نعنای خشک این نوجوانه. گوی سبقت رو بودی از جمع همگنان. حال خود کفا شدن از نعنا این عزیزان. قوره خواهند از من و دائما پرسان. و گویند قوره که اومد به بازار نعنا میشه دلازار. طالبان قوره‌ات هستند دست به دعا، از خدا خواهند برایت خوشحالی، سعادت و شفا. چون گذشته وجوه حاصله می شود اهدا، برای بنای مقدس معبد عبدالبها. یک شب از پشت در اتاقت در بیمارستان، به اتفاق نوشین شنیدیم فریادهای بلند و شدیم حیران. زن، زندگی، آزادی، تو تام فش بشه، آخون باید گم بشه. نهار گذاشته داشت گوش میدن. ما چه خبر اون تو؟ ای فازی ملوسک، تولدت مبارک. فوتی به شنبوریشی به کیک قسمت بده به تک تک.
We came to Australia, and I met Shidan and the family, and they moved to Perth. And one day, when I was so lucky enough to have Shidan help me out, get me into the university here in Western Australia, I decided I'm moving to WA. Overnight, I packed up my bags and flew over. And the first thing in the morning, the entire Majidi family came and picked me up from the airport like one of their own. Mr. Majidi grabbed me and gave me a big hug. I was considered one of the sons. I was treated like one of the sons. After 2 weeks of being here in WA, I hadn't heard from the university. And I was very sad. And I was sitting there one day, and Mr. Majidi came up to me and said, Humanjon, what's the matter? I said, well, it's been 2 weeks, and I still haven't got my approval to study at UWA, and I don't want to go back to Sydney. I hate the place. I want to stay here. He said, Pashubedi, let's go. And we got into the car, and the two of us drove up to the university, and we went into the offices the application offices. And he very sternly said to the lady, this is my son. how come he hasn't had his approval to study at the university? And the lady thought, well, what's your name? And I said, my name is Golestani. And she looked and said, is this your father? And I said, well, actually, no, he's like my uncle. She came back, and she said, congratulations. I was just about to post your letter out to you. I don't remember anything else other than the fact that all of a sudden I was lifted off the ground and hugged so hard, I almost fainted. He picked me up, Mr. Majidi picked me up and said, Mubarak Boshe, congratulations. And he gave me the biggest hug as if I was his own son. So, Azizpour, I love you dearly like my own father.
تو را که داشتم می‌آمدم امروز تمام مدت به فکر آقای مجیدی عزیزم بودم. به شیدان جون گفتم من انقدر اینجا اومدم که ماشینم فقط کافیه روشنش کنم. خودش میاد اینجا پارک میکنه وای میسه اتوماتیک وار میاد. هر باری که از این در من تو اومدم آقای مجیدی عزیز از در اومدم بیرون استقبال کردن، بغل کردن، رقصیدن، آی من اینجور بغل کردن، من جونم بهترین استقبالا رو میکردن. با عشق میرفتیم تو، با عشق میومدیم بیرون. وقتی که کسی میومد منزل نوشین جون آقای مجیدی، اون استقبال و گرمی و بوسی که از این خانواده میگرفتم، من خودم همیشه فکر میکردم که من از همه بیشتر دوست دارم و مطمئنم که این احساس رو تمام یکی که کسایی که اینجا هستن، کسایی که اینجا نشستن و چشمشون رو ببندن، همین عشقی که من همیشه احساس کردم، ما همیشه احساس کردیم، اونا هم احساس خواهند کرد. یک مجیدی رفته، 3 تا مجیدی برای ما گذاشته. روحشون شاد، درجاتشون عالی.
Aziz he was humorous. And like many Persian people, he loved playing around with language. We both had prostate cancer. Aziz was more of a wait and see what happens, whereas mine was treated with radiation therapy. And this is another example of his humor. With radiation therapy, you have to have some little markers put around your prostate so they can identify exactly where it is and position their equipment to radiate the prostate. And these are gold markers, and they're with you for life. They remain around your prostate. He would often call me Dudu Tala. I think it was just hilarious.
همه با هم دیدم شیرین پلو نهار میاد میریان چیره دیدم
Dad would always love to introduce himself as, my name is Aziz, as is, no more, no less.
آقای مجیدی رو خیلی دوستش داشتم و دوستش دارم و همیشه تو قلبمونه، برای اینکه مملو از محبت و عشق بودن. اون سنس آف هیومری که آقای مجیدی همیشه داشتن، روزی نبود که ما بیایم اینجا و با خنده از این خونه بیرون نریم.
I feel blessed to have known the Majidi family ever since I was a young boy. Mr. Majidi was a very hospitable man. The door of his house was always open, and I vividly remember visiting the Majidi family farm when I was very young. We will miss you, Aziz John.
من واقعا افتخار میکنم که به آقای مجیدی دوست شدیم، اومدیم اینجا و مثل برادر خواهر بودیم و هر اشکال باغبونی داشتم می اومدم گفتم آقای مهندس به من یاد بده، من چیکار کنم، جعفری خریدم چیکار کنم، چه جور بکارم. هر وقتم میدید چند تا شعر برام گفته که شعراش هم خیلی قشنگ از همه جور گفته. باعث افتخار هممون بود. آقای مجیدی واقعا افتخار میکردیم به این خانواده.
This is a call and response to I Love Nunu, and Nunu is going to see her love Aziz. Let's go in. Are you ready, everyone?
Let's go.
Yes.
این خانم که این خانم کی هستن؟ I love نونو. ببین اینه چراغ ببینم نونو. ببینم چه خوشگله بلا بوده.
الله حفاظ دیگرم.
الله حفاظ.
ماسکش زده.
همتون
آخه دیدی ماسک روش چی نوشته؟
Maskation, close look at the mask.
دیدم خوندم. آیلا بردی. خیلی
آره.
I love you عزیز جیگرم.
I love you more.
قربونت برم.
Don't glance on me.
من نگفته بودم I love you most. ولی میخوام بگم
Don't glance on me.
ای جیگر.
Many of us will feel that Aziz is and will always be. I still feel his warmth. I still feel his care, his attention. And though he's passed from this mortal frame, I still feel him. So Aziz is and will always be.